One of the most profound things I've learned in my life is that it's actually not about my hair at all. I've spent a lifetime trying to cover up who I am. And as much as I love a good external transformation, and I do, I much more love a heart transformation. Join me as I share how I work to heal my heart, find happiness, and embrace our hair. Hey guys, welcome back to episode 31 maybe of It's Not About Your Hair, where we talk all things hair, heart, and happiness. And today, as promised, intimacy. So listen, you guys, this is a 4-part series on the comeback of season 2 of really talking about my own personal struggles. And we were talking about ways to overcome and things to do. Last week, we talked about your emotional sky and how you can control how you look at things. And that's what we talk about every episode. And today, I wanted to talk about something that's really hard to talk about. I don't know why. And embarrassing maybe even to talk about. And I don't know why. And seems taboo to talk about, and I don't know why. So that's why I'm doing it. And I am hoping to shed some light on the topic of sex and intimacy in marriage. As a Christian woman, I think that this is not talked about at all. I want to actually read one of the recommendations in the cover of this book. So if you've been following along, I shared this. I've been doing this Bible study that was brought to me by one of my clients who is a gem called Passion Pursuit. What kind of love are you making? And I have never done a Bible study about sex before, or even really talked about it in the church. So I am a woman who loves Jesus and also loves my husband. And this has been a struggle. And after reading this book, I realized that I'm not alone. And after talking to many of my clients, I realized that I'm not alone. Sex is something openly talked about and overly talked about in the world. And when I say in the world, I just mean like in our culture. It's just not even abnormal to see someone pretty much naked on the television and create these lustful thoughts very early and young and all of this stuff. And in anything that God created, remember we talk about Psalms 139, that he knew us before he formed us, that he has a plan for us, that anything he created is in his dominion, will, love, and joy for us. Yet sex is something just really not talked about. And lots of women don't know how to talk about it. And so if you're a dude, just check out this episode. Get on out. Or maybe you hang out, but this is really for ladies who have struggled with intimacy, who have not been taught about this, and the church hasn't done a great job. And I'm just going to read. So in the front of this book, there are reasons you should read it from other Christians and authors and things like that. And it says right here, while the world fixates on sex, the church has remained silent. And this has led to much confusion and pain in the Christian community. Now, finally, Dr. Juli, Slattery, and Linda Dillow have boldly stepped out and addressed the issues in a biblical, clear, and courageous way. Passion Pursuit opens the door to much healing, much pleasure, and much clarity on the sexual experience. It offers a more beautiful, passionate, and pleasurable picture for both husband and wife than the world could ever give. It will drastically change marriages, heal broken hearts. I pray every church in America will embrace this study for their women and do so quickly. So I'm not every church in America, but I'm one curly girl talking from my house to yours, one girlfriend to another. Bring your girlfriends along. This is a must. Listen, I'm going to go back into my past in order to move into my future. I was a broken girl. I shared the story, and I'm going to give permission from my husband before I actually post this, because I don't want to hurt his little feelings. But my story's mine. My past is my past. So what you guys have seen is that I have shared that my husband and I have been together, and I've made jokes about it on and off since 8th grade. And that is true. But when I say on and off was because I was always looking for someone to love me and couldn't accept being loved all at the same time. So although my husband has been there by my side and taken me back numerous times, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. I thought that sex would mean that someone would like me, and I gave up myself in hopes that someone would choose me. And what it led was a very young girl who became promiscuous and searched for love through sex, only to discover that, as you know, adolescents who have sex, people talk. That's what middle school and high school are all about. And then rumors, and some weren't rumors, but people talked about me, which further led me to believe that I was just, the words that were used were, please don't have your kids in the room, were slutty, or any of these words, you know them. And that experience left me broken because I was giving something that I thought was going to get me something. I thought it was going to get me the love that I longed for. And it did not. I had never met anyone who voluntarily, in my circle, had said no to sex. Really, it was just something that people did, and no one ever talked to me. The way that it was talked to me about was that it was bad and evil, and that you shouldn't have sex till you get married, and that you could get an STD. Like, that was kind of the conversation. And so what it became for me was something that you hide and is shameful, because it wasn't something that was talked about, right? And then in high school, I met a new best friend who's my current still best friend, Jamie. And I probably shouldn't share this, but I remember, because I'm an oversharer, her telling me our junior year that she was a virgin. And she wasn't a Christian. She did not grow up in a Christian household. Her parents weren't, she never went to church, nothing. She started going with me around that same time, because there was always a longing in my heart for something more, a desire to be worthy. And I remember her telling me, and she was so beautiful. She was very, very beautiful. She's still very, very beautiful. And every boy wanted to date her. And I was the girl that no one wanted to date except for Adam, which was really cute. He was very sweet to me. But I was definitely not. Adam's really the only real boyfriend I ever had. A couple of other ones, but I just wasn't. I don't know what it was. Probably my own inability to see myself. The more confident you are, the better. But anyways, Jamie told me, and I remember I said, well, why don't you? And she's like, because I don't want to. And it seems so insignificant, you guys, but it was this huge pivotal moment for me that I realized that I could say no. For years, I had been saying yes because I thought that that's what you did. I didn't know that there was this other option of just because I don't want to. I really didn't. And it seems so silly, and I was so longing to be seen, right? And so insert this intersection of Adam and I really we've been together since our junior year, really. And it was about that time that I had this epiphany that I didn't have to. I don't have to, bless us all. And also Jamie and I start going to church, and there's just all these weird things that happened, and what I learned, and then I'm skipping past a lot of points to just kind of get to the story. Anyways, I was like, I'm not doing that anymore because I don't have to. And there was almost this empowerment, and I didn't for a long time. And then Adam and I changed our minds. Fast forward, and I got pregnant very young, 18, I got pregnant. And I remember when that happened, all of the Christians around me being disappointed in me, but I didn't really, I understood or thought I understood that what I had done was wrong, but I didn't really know why it was wrong or if it was wrong. Just that the fact that I had disappointed all of the people around me. In fact, my husband got excommunicated from his church for our pregnancy and was no longer allowed to take what they call sacrament or communion. Anyways, I'm just showing the difference of how the church handles sex, you guys, and versus the world. And it pushed us further from God. Just one more reason that we didn't fit or belong in the kingdom of God because of sex. But the sex wasn't even the root of the issue. My heart was. And the people in faith, and I know that people are doing the best that they can, but the people in faith were the ones who were making me feel unworthy, right? They were pushing us to the back of the church. We were embarrassing. We had embarrassed our families. We were all around this idea of sex, but it had nothing to do with sex as much as, again, it had to do with being broken. And what I needed was someone to see me and to talk to me about the love that God had for me and for others, and that we're never too far gone, because that's what he would have said to me. Jesus, I think, is what we're getting mixed up, is that he would have sat with the sinner. He would have been with the unbeliever. He would have not left the side of the one struggling. And that's what we need to remember as we move forward when we talk about intimacy and sex. So then I got pregnant for this baby, and I tell this story and it's true. And the whole time I was pregnant, it was probably the longest I'd been sober in my adult life. I didn't believe that I would ever find a place in church or in God. But I believed that my baby might have a chance. And I prayed the whole time I was pregnant for Sydney that God would love her, that she would be good enough, and that maybe Adam and I could earn our way back. But this was the thoughts I had all around sex, right? But it wasn't about sex. It was about being loved and feeling worthy. So I had this baby, excommunicated from the church, shunned to the back row. There's not a place for people like me now in the church. Now I'm going to be a teen mom. I've just proven to the world that I was a mess, and I'm alone and afraid, right? And I had this baby, and I heard God. I know this sounds crazy, y'all. If someone would have said this to me, this podcast, all kinds of spooky. When they handed me that baby, and I looked at her with her bright orange hair, I heard God say, "I love you like this." How could that be? How could the sound of God's love for me echo in my heart when all the people who loved God were like, "You can't be here"? But I heard God say, "I love you like this." And I knew that that moment forward, that I could be a part of his plan for me. And I fell in love with him. And I've been chasing him ever since. It's been 23 years, and I'm not great at it. I mess up all the time, which is why we're on the struggle. But one of the biggest things that I've struggled with, you guys, I have come to a complete healing and belief that I'm not a mistake, that my mistakes don't define me, that your mistakes don't define you. I've even found enlightenment and joy in the pain that I have had, in the choices I have made. I've found, I used to get worried if I would go out that I would see somebody that maybe I had made a mistake with, and that they would recognize me and I would be embarrassed. And all of that has went away from me. I don't feel any of that, because sex is not the issue till it's the issue. And so let's go into how I ended up parenting. And then we're going to come back to this book, but it all ties together. So when I had girls, I read a book by Dr. James Dobson called Bringing Up Girls. And the first time I read it, I cried like a baby. And he has this chapter about this charm bracelet. And his 16-year-old daughter tells it, and she says, she was not allowed to date until she was 16. And the way that the story works is that they told her, can't date until you're 16. Then on her 16th birthday, she said she was waiting and waiting and waiting. We have to be careful when we draw these lines with our kids or ourselves. Here's the line. At 16, you can date. So she was waiting, boy, for that 16. When she got 16, she went out to dinner, and the story goes like this. Her parents gave her this charm bracelet. And she's so excited, she just wanted to get through dinner because all she wanted to do was go on her first date. And her parents hand her this bracelet. And this bracelet on it is diamonds and rubies. And I might be messing it up. Diamonds and rubies. Very, very, very expensive. And those are fixed. They do not come off. And also are one-of-a-kind rare stones, connected charms on the bracelet. And she was mesmerized and overwhelmed. And I was mesmerized and overwhelmed reading the story. And it said, we want you to know that you are free to do what you want and that we love you. This bracelet is an offering, a visual of our love. The diamonds represent God's love for you. They are fixed. They cannot be taken off and they will not be lost. The rubies represent your mother and I's love for you. And I still get emotional. It's so awesome. I wish someone would have told me this. They represent our love for you. Cannot be changed. They cannot be removed. Nothing that you do. It's as permanent to this bracelet as it is to you. And they are precious, rare, but diamonds and rubies can be found. The charms, however, are one of a kind. They are the only ones in the world. At this, her heart was like pounding, like, how can I afford this? How could you afford to get this for me? And why would you give it to me? It's almost too much to handle. And they said, the charms represent your love that you choose to give. And they're yours. You own them. We do not own them. They are separate from us. You now have the power. The only catch is, every time you give away one of your first, the charm goes to the person that you gave it to. The first time you feel your heart flutter, the first time you hold somebody's hand, your first kiss, the first time I can't remember all of them, but let's go into sex. First time you have sex with someone, the first time you break up or give your heart away, and so on and so forth. And she began to cry, and she said, well, why would you give me this? And furthermore, why would I give somebody else? If this is a rare stone, that it's the only one like it in the world, why would I give it to somebody? And then as she said it, she heard what she was saying. Do you hear what I am saying? It was so profound that I wanted to raise my daughters that way. I wanted them to understand that it is so special and it's not wrong or right, but we do give them away. And the truth is, if you thought right now about the first person that you kissed, I can still remember his name. I was in the 6th grade behind the teen center on the military base. His name was Mike Palizzetti. If you're out there, Mike, he had black hair or blue eyes, swinging on the swing. Whether or not we know it, the first time we do anything sticks with us forever. And so when we're taught the beautiful uniqueness and the power of it's ours to give, maybe we hold it with a little bit more care. Maybe we understand its specialness. God has given you this gift of love. You now have the opportunity to give it to somebody else. It was empowering, as well as the girl says in the book, it was almost as if they had freed me and then handcuffed me with this bracelet. And I laughed, and she said, once I understood how unique and special it was. It was hard for me to want to give. It wasn't chastising or heavy in the sense of I wasn't allowed to. It was that I get to. And once I understood the uniqueness of the gift, she says it was hard to want to give it away. So I raised my girls in this secret keeper girl lifestyle, and at least the first two. I'm learning things the third time around. I think it's somewhere in the middle, you guys. And but what it brought for me was, as God got closer to me, I reconciled that sex was neither bad nor good, or that it wasn't bad at all, but that it was a gift to give and share. It wasn't something I had to give away, and it was mine, and I was special, and all of the parts of me are special, and I get to choose. But it doesn't change my value. See, the way I was raised is that by the time I got pregnant for my daughter, I didn't have many things left on my bracelet. I didn't feel the love of God. And my mom loved me very much, but she was embarrassed. I had made a lot of choices, and I felt the shame of that. I felt the shame of telling people that I had done something wrong or dirty. And then we're supposed to replace that when we get married with sex is beautiful and awesome and a gift from God. Well, yeah, right. I hadn't ever learned that. So we enter into this marriage and we're supposed to be restored and redeemed and made clean, but I didn't know how. And if I'm honest, I still don't. I'm going to tell you guys a funny story. My daughter will probably hate me, but it's real funny. I'm going to say it quick. When my daughter was in college, I sent her a video about I never wanted my kids to ever feel like sex was wrong or dirty, because I didn't want that narrative to be what they took into their marriages, you know. And so I said this to her, and I sent her a video, and she called me and was like, Mom, my roommates and I cannot help ourselves. We are laughing so hard. I cannot believe you sent that. And I said, and I'm embarrassed, but I'm going to share it anyways. I said, honey, I want you to know that we have to know what we stand for, or we'll eat the donut. And I said, sex is kind of like being on a diet, but they give out donuts at church, right? And I said, if I'm watching what I eat, but I go to church on Sunday and they have donuts, I'll convince myself that it's okay to have a donut. And sometimes you go up and you cut the donut, like you're just going to have a quarter of the donut. So you just like, maybe just take a little bit. And then before you know it, the donut is so damn delicious that you eat the whole donut. And I said, honey, that's what sex is like if we don't know, because it is so good that maybe we just have a little bit, you know, we just do a little kiss, and then we don't know that we say we're just gonna have a little bit of donut, and then the donut's pretty good, and you're like, before you know it, you're holding hands, and then you're heavy petting, and then, you know, the donut's all in. And because here's the thing, it's good. But here's the part that I forgot for myself, that if God didn't want us to have pleasure, you guys, if he didn't want us to unite this way, he would not have made all of these sensations on our lips, or what it feels like when you hold hands, or what it feels like when you make love to somebody that loves you and that you are unashamed. There is something so unbelievably beautiful about the intimacy when the Bible says that two shall become one. The way that God created us, that not only does sex create pleasure, if we understand it, for the man and the woman, it creates a oneness that cannot be broken. That's why if you have had any sexual encounters in your past, they almost hurt more to think about than if you've ever broken a bone. I heard that one time. You can break a bone or even get really, really injured, but it won't invoke the same emotion that being heartbroken does when you remember it. Because giving ourselves away and not understanding our uniqueness, sometimes it devalues us because we don't understand. So it's not that we can't give it. It's not that sex is bad. It's actually delightful if we know what we're doing. But it requires so many walls to come down. And we try to protect our kids as best as we can, and everybody's doing the best that they can. But I think that there's somewhere in the middle now. So with our youngest, we're a little bit different. We don't have so many hard lines. I don't want her to make any mistakes, but I also want her to know that any step she makes, we're right here by her side, and so is God. And that pain is an inevitable part of living. And that even if you wait till your very wedding night to have your first kiss, you might still have a marriage that's hard. Because it's not about sex. It's about the knowing that you are worthy of being seen fully naked. Whether that's as you are in your skin, as you are in your heart. To be fully naked and seen in front of another person. Think about in the beginning, they were naked and then they ate the apple and then they sought to hide and cover up. God wants us with our partners to be naked, unashamed, and delighted. I'm still working on it. But this whole book is about studying the Songs of Solomon. Is that what it is? Songs of Solomon. I think that's what it is. And that, my beautiful friends, is a provocative book. And I don't know how when we homeschooled, we overlooked these things. Or when we teach the Bible, we overlook them. Y'all got a lot of opinions about who should be sleeping with who and who shouldn't be sleeping with who. But you aren't sleeping with your husbands in a really great way, are you? And that's just a zinger I'm going to keep to myself. We need to mind our own dang business. And when we're minding our own business, we need to keep our eyes on our own marriage and our own intimacy and our own families. And we need to accept that all that we're doing is just trying to figure it out. But I'm going to tell you right now, this book, it's not all good. Some of it's cheesy, right? But it allows you to think, to explore passion, healing. It allows you to ask the questions of really hard things. You know, I'm going to say something else. All of the guy parts are on the outside. And so they are easy to find and see. And ladies, ours are a little trickier, okay? So we need to have a little bit of patience with ourselves. And this talks about that. And that's okay. And so listen, the chapters real quick. I got power. Me, pursue passion. God's got an opinion. Making truth stick. What kind of love are you making? Pursuing pure pleasure, exposing counterfeit intimacy, debt-free intimacy, the passion priority, and smoking hot mama. Smoking hot mama. So I hope that this helped somebody today to say, your charm bracelet is all intact, my dear. You are absolutely loved. There are 0 things that you have done that are hidden from the Lord, and he still picks you. And so do I. Listen, I've done some things that would just mortify other human beings. But I am still worthy of my call. I am loved by my husband. I can pursue passion. I deserve to be seen. And if I do, God dang it, you do too. So thanks for tuning in today. Remember, don't eat the donut unless you want to. And then if you do, you better god darn enjoy it. Happy that you're here, you guys. And remember, if you're not where you want to be when it comes to intimacy, just take one step forward and you'll get closer. You're worthy of love. You are worthy of being seen. And I hope that you will dive in to the passion pursuit. I guess this is where I ask you to subscribe to my channel, to follow me on social, and to listen wherever podcasts can be found. And join me every Tuesday at 2 as we unpack how to heal your hair, your heart, and your happiness.